Welcome, loves, to another episode of my podcast, That's Fine With Me. Today we're going to be talking about love, and I hope it's not going to be as controversial as the previous podcast. I read all of your comments, and I agree and disagree. We have a discussion here. Okay, we're going to get started with a new theme, with a new topic, love. So what is love? A lot of the information I gathered from YouTube sources, from different articles. That is the main reason why I feel like the base was taken from Alan Fisher. She is a real scientist who is studying love and the process in the human body that is responsible for love itself. Let's talk real quick about the whole concept. We can divide love into three different sections. It's lust, then attraction, and attachments. And all of these three sections are completely different. I believe to have the feeling of love, you should probably possess all of these three qualities. And let's get started with the most important, attraction. Whenever you enter the room and you see 10 guys or 10 girls, immediately you feel attraction to one of the person. Maybe you don't really feel attraction to any of them, but if you do, then probably you're gonna see the only person that you are attracted to, and then you immediately start the conversation, or you kind of like feel like you want to explore this further. It's really interesting how the attraction works. It is actually saving a lot of energy and time for us. And why do we really need this? Because if you didn't really feel any sort of attraction, you would go in between of 10 people and you will waste your time on speaking to each of this person. You are wasting your own resources by finding a better match. But as a lot of scientists are saying that most of the time we feel attraction to the same ethnic group, we feel attraction to the same socioeconomic background people, as well as culture and most of the time background. I feel like if we try to compare ethnic groups, if you come to China, Chinese people are most of the time going to be dating Chinese. If you go to Africa, Africans are going to date Africans, and so on and so forth. I guess the most diverse culture and the melting pot is United States, and I don't really think this rule applied to United States as much as for other countries, because whenever you grow up in United States, you see multiple cultures, you see multiple ethnic groups, and that's why you kind of get used to a certain ethnic group in your society, and you might probably marry different ethnic group. They're not related to your own specific ethnic groups. We're talking about socioeconomic background. It's pretty much obvious that a lot of rich people want to reach, partners and spouses, as well as a lot of people with medium income. They would probably, look for a medium income person as well. Of course, there are different types of women that want to find a rich guy, or like some guys want to find rich women, vice versa. But most of the time, still, it's pretty much equal. The equality. We're looking for equality, and we're looking for some background that we can share, especially the same probably age gap. Not always, but most of the time, the range of maybe 5 years plus or minus, these people are commonly going to get together, and they have a lot of things in common and to share, especially like cartoons and films and movies. You can discuss and you can relate because you were raised in the same area at the same time. And another really important step to discuss is hormones. There are different types of hormones like dopamine. If the person has a little bit more of the hormone of dopamine, he's going to be probably looking, this person is probably as a risk taken, curious, and he would probably look for the same person in a relationship as well as people there. The leading hormone is serotonin. They will probably look for a traditional, follow the rule partner or spouse. But if we're talking about high testosterone person, most of the time it's logical, straightforward, and really bold, decisive person. And this person will probably look for an opposite partner in the relationship. And if we're talking, the final one is the one with estrogen system. Well, these people are the big picture people, long-term relationship, and so on and so forth. That's why whenever the hormone is playing a little bit bigger part in their body, then they're probably going to act on that way. And whenever I talk about attraction, I want to get you one really cool example that my personal relationship started with a first sight, and I felt not an immediate attraction, but my attraction was formed a little bit later. And that's why it's really important to know that whenever you feel like the love from the first sight is real or not real, scientists are saying that it is pretty much real, and I can confirm it myself. But most of the scientists are saying that you can feel the love from the first sight only when you are mentally and physically ready to experience this feeling. Maybe it's because of some hormones, maybe it's because of the age gap, I don't know, but whenever you feel like you're ready, you're gonna fall in love. It's really important to have timing. I was 14 when I first met my husband, and back then he wasn't even my boyfriend, and we had the New Year's Eve, some celebration. I was studying English, and my group mates, we were joined with a little bit different group where I saw for the first time my husband. But I didn't feel any attraction to any of the guys, and I guess I wasn't even ready to experience that. I really thought that love is some sort of bullshit and you can easily get out of the feeling. Boy, was I wrong. Yeah. In 9 months, the 1st of September, that was the first time where my group and his group were joined. And that's when I saw him, and then I literally can tell the spur of the moment, like I held my breath, and I immediately realized that I'm in love. I didn't feel any lust. So I feel like it's really important to feel attraction at first, and only later you would feel lust. And I was rejected at first, wasn't even rejected. He started dating a little bit different girl, and that was the main reason why I had no chances. I was a little bit struggling, of course. And scientists are saying it's really easy to find yourself in a position that when time goes by, you're going to forget about this love and probably move on with your life. I don't really think it's applicable for every single person, because other interesting facts that I got from Ellen Fisher, she said love is a way of addiction. And it's really interesting because I totally agree with this fact. We have a part of the brain that's called nucleus accumbens, if I'm not mistaken, or accumbens. I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. And this part of the brain is responsible for any substances and any addictions. It can be mental addictions or physical addictions, as alcohol and maybe toxic substances and whatsoever, as well as any sort of relationship, as well as maybe some toxic relationship. It's basically is concentrated in this part of the brain. And whenever I try to avoid my, let's say, boyfriend, I felt pretty much okay. But I guess every single time I saw him anywhere, we lived in the same district, and that was the main reason why every single time I saw him anywhere near like a bus stop where I was just passing by, all these feelings, they were instantly back. That's why I feel like love is the way of addiction you can get rid of. For sure, like maybe if you really love someone and you feel this obsession with a person, it's really hard to say that it's easy to forget. It is addictive. And there's always a difference between romantic relationship and platonic relationship, as well as I was pretty much sure that I had romantic feelings towards the person, because you feel the obsession with a person. You feel like, I want to listen to the same music as he does. I want to, I don't know, like drive the same bus as he does. Everything is so special about this person, though it's not really special about your friend. Whenever you talk to someone, you have platonic relationship and you're not interested in this person, most of the time, you don't really care what type of music he's listening to. Or you do, but it's not something significant as if your beloved one is listening to. I guess the greatest example I can tell you guys is about like Demi Lovato. She has an addiction. If I'm mistaken, she has some substance abuse addiction, like maybe toxics and heroin. I don't really remember. But she says that it's always hard for her to stay away from this addiction. That is the main reason why sometimes she slips and she takes some of this drugs. Okay, now let's talk about different hormones that are controlling love itself. What is it? What is love? And when different scientists try to figure this out, they realized attraction or love is formed in the base of your brain. And then the hormone that the part of your brain is forming is called dopamine. This dopamine is spreading through your brain, and then it's really close to the part of your body that is responsible for hunger and thirst. And it's next to the second part of your brain that is actually in charge of the reproductive system. It's in charge of your DNA, what is going to happen to your DNA in the future, procreate functions. That's why we're going to a little bit different, let's say, section, lust. Lust is a sexual desire, and it is controlled by testosterone, which is pretty much normal. A lot of people are saying that if you're in love, you don't feel lust to other people. And it is not true. We have dual situation in the brain. We have dual situation in our mind. A lot of people that are in love and they feel this toward the significant other, they can actually have promiscuous lifestyle, and they would have sexual desire to others instead of staying with one partner only. And this is sadly part of the story, part of the life. And do you remember the film It was released in 1995, if I'm not mistaken, with Reese Witherspoon and Mark Wahlberg. The film was called The Fear, and this is a great example of the toxic love and addictive love that Mark Wahlberg had towards Reese Witherspoon, and then he actually had sex with her friend. He didn't really care about having promiscuous lifestyle. He actually didn't really care about the girl he was having sex with, but he had a little bit different type of possessiveness and this toxic love toward his Reese Witherspoon character. I don't remember her name. And turned out he was some sort of maniac or a psycho, but it shows that he was willing to die for his love, and this love turned him mad. A little bit different part of love, I guess, the division of love, is attachment. Attachment is formed a little bit later in the relationship, because when I started dating my husband, I didn't really care about any attachment. I didn't really care about weddings, gowns, dresses, house, kids, children, whatever. Most of the time, you're going to this point of your life gradually. At first, you have attraction, then you have lust most of the time. I didn't feel lust up until the point where we started dating, and I was pretty much ready to cross this line. And then attachment formed a little bit later. Now we're married, but I wasn't ready to get married up until 2019, I guess. But he proposed in 2018, and we'd been dating for 8 years before we actually got married. We were basically kids. We started dating when I was 16 and a half, and he was 17. That's why it was super early, in my opinion, to start a new family. That's why we waited that long, but we gradually went to the attachment base, where we support each other, where we have the same goals, the same ideas, the same house and responsibilities most of the time. And if we try to, view from the perspective of a person of like middle ages and maybe even later to 18th or 19th centuries, people that got married basing their thoughts on attachments, not on attraction. And most of them were not even allowed to choose from their favorite people they were attracted to. They had to secure marriage. They had to provide for the family. And that was the main reason why people didn't care about lust and attraction. They really cared about attachments and procreation, and they cared about financial side of marriage. And of course, it changed later on. Another great study showed people are willing to find their spouses or their romantic partners through apps. About 40% of Americans, they're looking for a person through app. And I can tell scientists are recommending to stay in the app and probably check out from 5 to 9 different people, but not more than 9 people, because then you're spaced out and you get distracted easily. And that is the main reason why you're not even thinking of this person being good or not. You're just like, swiping and looking for something that you don't really know what you're looking for. And at least 5 people, at maximum 9 people, to, estimate and think, oh, I can go on a date with this person, or I won't. And you should better get back to this process later, maybe in an hour or so, and start looking again instead of just choosing someone for the sake of choosing. And of course, it's important to mention that there are different types of love. It has to be impersonal love towards cats, dogs, chocolate, food itself, or maybe some stuff, clothes, over consumerism, this type of stuff. But you need to hold it. You need to possess the property or something in order to have the impersonal love or interpersonal love, the one that we were talking about, the one toward the person when you can't touch it, you're not forming this, it's just your feelings to the person. Another really interesting fact that every single time people were studied during their, let's say, love session scanning, it said that every single time people looked at the picture of the beloved ones, someone who was madly in love, someone who was rejected, and someone who they really loved for the long period of time, every single time the dopamine was released to different parts of the brain. And another really interesting question that I raised while I was doing my research: why do we fall out of love? Why do we stop loving? And I couldn't find a reasonable answer. Some people say the problem is in being boring. You understand that you get tired of the person and you want to get through divorce just because you don't feel anything to the person, or maybe you have some hatred because small details and small things that your partner does can cause irritation and sometimes hatred. Most of the time, people are not getting divorced because they have those attachments. I mean, the same house, they have some savings, they have the same cars. That's why it's really hard to get through divorce papers and, divide everything, split this in between, between two of the spouses. Another great reason, kids. But sometimes if you're super tired of the person, you can get through divorce and you don't really care how much you have to split between each other. Honestly, I feel like it's in our own hands. Was it a real love or was it just attraction and lust? And probably we can feel love for some short period of time and then we do actually get bored. The same way as a career. You can choose some career that you were super passionate about and in 10 years you get tired of it, you get bored, and then you switch your major. And if you can do this with your career, with your hobbies, why can't you do this with your spouse or maybe with your boyfriend? I guess it's really hard question to answer. Where does love go? And what is the main reason? But I guess sometimes we can fall out of love even with a person who's perfect. Not even perfect, but who's a great father or a great mother who does a lot of things at home. And maybe you are a little bit bored of this A student and you're bored of that this person is taking responsibilities and you're left with nothing. Because most of the time, people that are lazy and want to do absolutely nothing, they're not going to get through divorce with someone who's doing everything in their own house. Most of the time, it's going to be the person who's doing everything and he gets tired of a lazy spouse or a lazy partner and they get through a divorce. That is another reason why you can fall out of love. You don't feel support from the person. The lust is out of your relationship. It's not because you have some hormone problems, testosterone hormone problems, because you can feel pretty much lust to your colleague or neighbor. But in my opinion, it is in your own hands. If you stop having sex and if you stop talking about that, that can cause some other major issues like, irritation. I personally can tell it from my own experience whenever I have this period of time when we pause sexual activity for some different reasons. And for example, my husband, he went to a business trip, or I went to China and I spent there a year. Of course, I was back and forth between my home and China, and I still had to spend at least 3 or 4 months in China. It caused huge irritation and caused some anger issues because you have no sexual release at all. That is the main issue. And it's up to you guys. If you feel like you haven't fell in love, then probably you're not ready. You're not ready to experience that, and it's fine. If you're not ready, then just don't push it. Whenever you're ready, you are gonna find love and you're gonna fall in love with a person. Another really cool reason why people procreate and they have kids, they are afraid of death, and this is a way to probably leave something like a part of your body, a part of you is living a baby, and it's going to help to maybe release some stress. At least some psychologists are saying this is the main reason why people are given birth, and this is the main reason why people are giving birth to 15 or maybe 20 kids, because they're afraid of death, and as much as they can, they procreate, and then they're making sure that they are living in their kids. It's from psychological way or something like that. But if you're not ready, then you're not ready. It's just your business, and no one can push you into having some relationship you're not willing to continue. I guess this is it for today. I am a romantic person, and honestly, I love romance. I love going on dates. I love this, smooshy and being in a relationship. But I feel like toxic relationships are not always good for you. Even if you feel like love is there, try to remember that love is an addiction. And if it's a toxic addiction, well, probably you should do something about that. Get rid of this toxic relationship, because there's no good in this, problem. That's pretty much it, guys. I hope you enjoyed today's podcast, and I hope I'm going to see you in my next one. Love you all so much. Bye-bye.